Greetings, I am Sean Redman, aka the cheesily named Darth Shawn. And last week's episode of Rebels I felt was a little kind of generic and even a little kiddie. Well, they countered that with this week's episode, which was very dark and did a lot to build characters. The Protector of Concord Dawn. We picked up in this episode the Rebels are having trouble getting their shipments and moving things through as the Empire is starting to make it harder for them to travel around the Outer Rim. And they needed a new passage through the Lothal system. And so Sabine suggests they try to go through Mandalorian space, the Concord Dawn, planet Concord Dawn. She suggests they go guns blazing, but Hera wants to go with diplomacy. That turns bad. Things happen. Hera gets hurt, and then Kanan and Sabine go to confront the Protector of Concord Dawn, Finn Rau. And what makes this episode great is all the marketing, at least that I saw, seemed like it was leading up to. It was going to be a Hera Sabine episode, maybe like the one in season 1, which wouldn't have been a bad thing. Both characters need it, but instead we got a Kanan Sabine episode, and that was something unique, something new that we hadn't got, and it really built up both characters, and also gave us Mandalorians. And if you've watched the Clone Wars, anytime a Mandalorian arc starts in the Clone Wars, it's one you want to watch. Well, that continues here, is this introduction of the Mandalorians into the Rebels universe really brings very deep and interesting characters. And that's what this episode really hinged on. Deep, interesting characters making decisions and kind of staying staunch in their decisions and what that leads to. And we got some really great growth from both Kanan, Sabine, and even just as a whole, the team, just what needs to be done as they're facing the Empire. We got to see a lot more of Sabine's backstory. They're starting to feed us more and more and more. And if you watched Clone Wars, you know about Death Watch, and you know what they meant to the planet Mandalore and what happened when they try to take control. And we start to learn more about Sabine, that her mother was a part of Death Watch. And Dave Filoni, being the person he is, gave a little hint and said, you might have seen her in the throne room when Darth Maul kills Pre Vizsla. So, hey, there's some interesting things maybe there going forward for Sabine's backstory, and we start to get a little bit of that. But above all, this episode didn't hinge on just showing us backstory. It kind of started to show us more and more who Sabine is. That she is a warrior in a lot of ways, but also her willingness to kind of put aside that desire to basically wipe out all these people in revenge for what happened to Hera, and instead is willing to try to work towards, not necessarily always diplomacy, but willing to work away from just the difference between obliterating an entire group of people to trying to get their goals still without killing. And that is a very interesting balance that they had in this episode, because we see the growth that Kanan has come through all of this, and that Kanan also through, because the way he cares about Hera, that he wants to continue what she wants to do through this, that you see Kanan being the one that really wants to kind of show diplomacy, show this kind hand, deliver the olive branch in a lot of ways to this group and say, hey, we're not the Empire. We are willing to, we're fighting the Empire, but we're not, if you don't side with the Empire, we'll not, hurt you. And it's that interesting balance that Kanan brought in this episode as well, because that growth as a character is where he's been, as well as the fact that he has a connection with the main bad guy, Finn Rau. I think Finn Rau is my favorite character in this new episode that they brought, simply because he kind of embodies what that Mandalorian way was. That whether we are on either side, Mandalore was neutral for most of the Clone Wars, and then obviously as Death Watch took over and the Empire took over the whole place, well, the Republic, which then became the Empire, took over, you see that they are very staunch in their ways. That, once they make a decision, that's what they're going to do. And Finn Rau is supporting the Empire. Why? They pay him, and it doesn't matter what the other things what is brought to him, what evidence, whether he knows the people, whether, he's going to do his job because that's what he's going to do. And you get a lot of that, but also because the connection that he has to Kanan, being that they encountered each other in the Clone Wars, brought a lot of depth, not just to Kanan's development, but also to this character, that we had this introduction of a character who is, by all information we've given here, a bad guy in this universe, but there's also this good aspect to him, and so there's a lot of depth to him, and if they continue using him in the series, it'll be interesting to see how he kind of comes together through In the end, I really liked this episode. It had a darker tone, but still kept the soul of Rebels. It developed and fleshed out the characters by giving them stakes, by making it feel like, hey, things aren't going to be easy in this episode. Things are going to take challenges, but they can still overcome it. And that was something that was really nice to see, especially after last episode, which felt so generic and so nothing is at stake. It felt good that they came back with this episode. It gave us good backstory, and it really delved into what this universe can be as we are going forward, and gave us the information to set up hopefully the last, 9-10 episodes of this season, that we're going to get a lot of good stuff. So what did you guys think? Did you like The Protector of Concord, Dawn? Was it as good as I thought it was? Or did you have some problems with it? Let me know in the comments below. As always, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I am Shawn Redman, aka the cheesily named Darth Shawn. And may the Force be with you. Always.